Have you ever just packed a bag and gone somewhere completely on your own? No plans, no one tagging along, just you and the open road. I did that, and it changed everything. I didn't go looking for anything deep. I just wanted a break. A little space to breathe. Maybe take a few cool photos. But the truth is, solo travel ended up showing me more than any group trip ever did. Today, I want to share what I learned from those quiet walks, random conversations, and peaceful moments in new places. Not to preach or sound dramatic, but just to talk about how traveling alone helped me feel more like me. Here are 10 lessons I picked up along the way, counting down to the biggest one of all. 10. Silence isn't awkward when you're alone. Silence can feel strange. Like if no one's talking, something's wrong. But when you're traveling solo, silence hits different. I remember sitting on a train in a foreign country with no Wi-Fi, no one to talk to, and nothing to do. At first it was uncomfortable, but then I just started watching the trees outside, the way the light moved. It was peaceful. I wasn't bored. I was calm. When there's no pressure to entertain anyone or make conversation, you start noticing things more. Your thoughts slow down. You start feeling present, even in the middle of a busy street. Silence becomes a kind of comfort, and honestly, that's something I never knew I needed. 9. You get to choose your pace. One of the coolest things about solo travel is you set the rhythm. Want to sleep in until noon? Go for it. Want to hit 6 museums in one day? That's your call. On one trip, I spent an entire afternoon sitting in a park, people watching and sipping coffee. I didn't feel guilty or rushed. There was no schedule to keep up with. No one saying, "Come on, let's go." Other days, I'd wake up at sunrise, walk for hours, and end the night at a street food stall. The best part was being able to do whatever felt right in the moment. When you're alone, you stop performing for anyone else. You move through the day the way you want to, and that kind of freedom? It's rare, but it feels really good. 8. Strangers can be surprisingly kind. When you're traveling with friends or in a group, you don't really interact with strangers as much. But when you're alone, you notice how often people are willing to help. There was a time I got totally lost in a small town. I didn't speak the language, and my phone was dead. I must have looked confused because a woman walked up, pointed to a paper map, and helped me get where I needed to go. She even walked part of the way with me. That moment stuck with me, not because it was dramatic, but because it reminded me that people are mostly good. That kindness doesn't need to speak your language. Those little interactions, someone helping with directions, a local recommending a place to eat, those are the ones that stay in your memory long after the trip is over. 7. You notice the small things. When you're not busy chatting or planning around other people, you start to pick up on the little details. I once sat outside a bakery just watching a city wake up. There was something really special about it. The way shop owners greeted each other, the smell of bread, the quiet before traffic kicked in. It felt like being inside a moment most people skip. Traveling alone slows things down in a good way. You notice the texture of a wall, the way light hits a fountain, or how kids play in a village square. These aren't things that show up in tourist brochures, but they're the pieces that make a place feel real, and those are the ones that make you feel connected, even when you're far from home. 6. Discomfort helps you grow. There were plenty of moments I felt awkward or unsure while traveling solo. Ordering food in a language I barely knew, getting on the wrong bus, sitting alone in a restaurant. At first, those things felt weird, but they didn't last. Over time, I got better at asking questions, laughing at mistakes, and just being okay. With not knowing everything, being slightly uncomfortable taught me to be more confident. Not in a loud or showy way, just in the quiet belief that I could figure things out. That feeling of handling a situation on your own, even a small one, builds a kind of trust in yourself, and that trust sticks with you long after the trip ends. 5. You don't have to impress anyone. This was a big one. Solo travel taught me that I don't have to always be on. I didn't have to be funny, smart, cool, or interesting. I could just be. When you're with people, even friends, there's often a small part of your brain performing. It's not a bad thing, but it can be tiring. But when you're alone, there's no pressure to be anything except yourself. You can wear whatever, eat whatever, skip tourist attractions, and just sit on a bench if that's what feels right. It's kind of wild how freeing that is. To stop trying so hard, to stop curating your day, your meals, your mood, for anyone else's comfort. Being alone gave me permission to just be me, and that made me feel more peaceful than I ever expected. 4. Nature feels different when you're alone. There's something about being alone in nature that hits you right in the heart. I remember standing at the edge of a cliff, watching waves crash below. No camera, no playlist, just the sound of wind and water. It felt like I was part of something bigger, not in a poetic way, but in a really grounding one. When you're solo, nature isn't just a backdrop. It becomes the company you keep. You start listening more, to birds, to trees, to your own breath. I walked through forests where the only sound was my feet on the trail. I watched the stars in silence, no one asking for the next photo or checking their phone. Those moments felt full in a way I can't explain. Being alone in nature reminded me how much peace is available when we just pause and listen. 3. You start to enjoy your own company. One of the biggest surprises of traveling solo was realizing I actually like hanging out with myself. Sounds simple, but it's not always the case. Before solo travel, I used to fill my time with people or distractions. But during those solo days, I started having actual conversations with myself, thinking through things, laughing at random stuff, even talking out loud sometimes. I stopped seeing alone time as lonely and started seeing it as valuable. It's when I got to reflect, unwind, and check in with myself. There's something powerful about knowing you can spend a whole day with just you, and not just survive it, but actually enjoy it. That shift in mindset was a big part of finding peace. I wasn't looking outside for company or comfort. I found it in myself. 2. Every place has something to teach you. Whether it's a big city or a tiny village, every place I visited had a lesson tucked inside. One town taught me patience because everything moved slower than I was used to. Another taught me humility when I couldn't read signs or menus and had to ask for help. Some places reminded me how good food can taste when you're hungry and how beautiful life looks when you're fully present. I started to see each new place as a teacher, not in a serious way, but more like a quiet guide. Every street, every stranger, every wrong turn brought something new to notice or learn. And when you travel alone, those lessons stick a little more, because you're fully in them. No distractions, no filters, just real moments, showing you something you didn't know you needed. 1. Peace doesn't come from the place, it comes from you. Here's the biggest thing I learned. Peace doesn't come from the beach or the mountain or the pretty town square. Those places help, sure. But real peace? That comes from you. I found peace in a crowded train station, in a tiny room with no Wi-Fi, in the middle of a thunderstorm. Not because the places were perfect, but because I was finally quiet enough to hear myself. Solo travel helped me tune out the noise and pay attention, to slow down, to breathe, to notice what really matters to me. You don't have to travel across the world to find peace, but going solo helped me realize it was always there, just waiting for me to notice. So that's my journey. Not just through countries, but through myself. Solo travel gave me more than cool stories. It gave me stillness, confidence, and a deeper connection to who I am. If you've ever thought about traveling alone, I hope this gave you a little encouragement. It's not always easy, but it's always worth it. Let me know in the comments. Have you ever traveled solo? Or is it something you're thinking about? I'd love to hear your story. And if this video spoke to you, go ahead and hit that like button, share it with someone who might need it, and don't forget to subscribe for more real talk about travel, growth, and everything in between. Thanks for hanging out with me. Until next time, take care.